What's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. Today's video we're going to be making a knife out of nails. Now I found these nails at Home Depot and I was browsing around the screw and fastener area and I was wondering what in here is pretty interesting to throw into a canister to see what I can make. And this guy caught my eye because it is actually made out of already hardened tempered steel, so we know it is going to be hardenable and should hold an edge. Therefore I said, why not? So I bought a couple boxes and I decided I'd give it a try. Now off camera I gave these guys a quick little treatment to make sure it didn't have any kind of coating on the outside, and nothing changed, which is, I figured it had no real coating. It doesn't have signs of any coating, which in general I figure it's good just to go out of the box and go straight into a canister. But if you're not sure like I was, it's doesn't take too long to hit it with some vinegar or some muriatic acid in case it does have a coating to strip out. Since the nails are shaped quite odd, I tried to fit them in as best as I could in there, and I gave it a couple taps to make sure they all fell and fit in the different little crevices, since they are kind of angular. And I filled it up with some steel powder with nickel in it from Maritime Knife Supply. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty quick and simple build. Go on ahead and weld on my cap, and we're going to get on to the forging process. Now, I won't deny that for this knife, I actually did come with an idea. I wanted to make a kukri style knife. And while I do think I succeeded, I kind of messed up the design a bit. It's not giving kukri energy, but it's also giving kukri energy. I don't know. Let me know in the comments towards the end once it's fully done. I didn't have enough steel. I was hoping I had more to make it bigger, but I didn't. But you'll see towards the end. Most of you guys have been watching me long enough to know that I always press top to bottom, and the reason why I press top to bottom is because it consolidates everything in there nicely. And you can see that billet in there that's already starting to loosen up. That's because it consolidated on the first press. Really, if done correctly on the very first press, it all welds together. Afterwards, you're just working it and wiggling it out, and more times than not it comes out very nicely like that, and we forge it down to a manageable thickness. In this case, I'm slowly working it down, and I'm using my 1-inch kiss blocks, and then I'm moving over to my 1/4 inch, and I'm just gonna draw out the steel. Once it's at a 1/4, it's a pretty good forging size to forge by hand, and that's why I generally forge my steel down to about a 1/4. Also, whenever I buy stock to forge with that's flat stock, I also buy a 1/4 because I feel that's a pretty good standard to use. Some people like a little bit thicker. I can't really go thinner because all it does is bend over on itself. But then again, I don't hand forge too much. But I did buy a bar of 1085, I believe it was, from, I want to say it was Pop's Knife Supply. And I'm going to hand forge some knives out of that. And so that's going to be some fun. And I'm really just going to do that for practice. They are going to be, you know, good knives, but it'll be more for practice than anything. And if you want me to record that and make videos out of it, let me know in the comments down below. And I'll probably record that. If not, I'll just forge out some knives on my free time whenever I get a chance. But if you guys are interested in watching it, I would definitely prefer to record the process and, you know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But I know not everybody's interested in those kinds of videos. They like to see these wacky things where I throw stuff in canisters and make cool stuff. But if you are interested, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll probably end up doing that as well. So a quick recap while I was yapping. I ended up cutting a diagonal into the knife. I cut it into an angle, and I ended up trying to forge that tip over. I didn't do a very good job, but I did forge it over just enough, and now I'm drawing it out to get it to the thickness that I want to start forging and thinning it out at. So here I'm going down to about a 1/4, maybe a little bit less than a 1/4. And I really want to get down to about 1/8, and it's very difficult to do on the hydraulic press, and I don't think I've made kiss blocks for it yet. I do need to make some for the smaller, more aggressive dies, but I haven't quite gotten to doing that yet, but I should definitely put that on my to-do list, as doing that will definitely help me thin out the material even more. But I've overpressed it before, and that's left me a little traumatized, I guess you would say, from ruining billets. So I'm very hesitant to do that, though I probably should. I have a lot more control with the press now than I did back then. Also, if you haven't noticed, my voice is a little hoarse. I don't know if it comes over on the mic, but it's taking me probably 2-3 times longer than usual to make this voiceover, because I keep coughing from all the talking, and that's because I've been sick throughout the week. So if it sounds a little off, it's because I've been sick and I still hasn't quite gotten, back to 100%. But I am definitely trying my best, even though I am coughing a lot in between. So I apologize if it sounds a little choppy. And now that I got the general shape that I want, which is basically that big belly up front with it a little bit narrower towards the inside, all I really have left to do is do a little bit of refining with the 2x72, and I'll get the general shape that I wanted. Originally, I did want it a bit wider with a bigger belly, but I kind of messed up and I didn't have enough material. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the size knife that I ended up. It's a little bit smaller, but I'm thinking I'll probably do a Damascus kukri sooner than later, and this is a pretty good warm-up for that, which I haven't made an actual kukri in a while, so definitely do want to make a Damascus one. But since I do also have that 1085, I might just cut off some of that round stock and forge me out a kukri and see how that goes. Do a brute to forge kukri. I think that sounds like a pretty fun idea. And here I'm just doing basic stock removal. I did want to do those knives that I promised earlier about a month ago to make before Christmas, but I couldn't fit it in the schedule. I've got too much going on and I couldn't fit it in. And on top of that, I ordered quench plates and they literally just got here yesterday, I believe. And since I'm making those as a product line to sell, I definitely wanted to get some quench plates, and I wanted to get the best result I could for the knives, so I opted out to pushing those to the side, and I'll be doing them in probably sometime in January. So if you're interested in those, they're still gonna be coming out, and if they sell, then I'll be taking that money and rinse and repeat and making more, and hopefully you guys enjoy those. And I also will have some brute de forge hand forged knives that I'm gonna be making out of the 1085 that I talked about earlier, that I definitely want to get some hand forging in, and I will be using the press obviously to work the steel down and everything, but I really want to get down that hand forging and get down the brute de forge knives, which I really love the look of them, and I want to be able to make more and be able to make them more efficiently. So that's definitely one of my goals for the next few months. And after successful heat treat, all I got left to do is do my final grind. One thing that is challenging on grinding these knives is getting in that part where the knife dips towards the handle. It's a very difficult spot to grind evenly and not over dig into the actual belt. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it's definitely a lot more difficult to grind in that area and also to sharpen. So whenever I hit that area, I have to hit it at a corner, basically at an angle, and just work it slowly. Once I get to the rest of the knife, I can work it as a normal flat bevel that I do, but it's very, very difficult to do that inner part. And here I'm using the Sand Shark to hand sand this knife. I'm getting used to the Sand Shark, not the Hand Shark. I'm getting used to the Sand Shark, and it's definitely been very useful in my hand sanding, and it really does cut down the time. So here I'm going to use some handle material you've seen me use a couple times. I buy this at Blade Show, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's a paper micarta. It's chocolate and some other stuff. It makes a really beautiful pattern, but I don't use it that much because I don't know. I'm not always a fan of this kind of micarta for kitchen knives. I like more of a wood color or just a plain paper micarta. But it looks pretty nice, especially paired with this orange on more outdoorsy knives. So I definitely went on ahead and paired it here. Definitely don't do as I do, because you can easily cut yourself on the bandsaw. So yeah, don't do that. But that's besides the point. This handle material is some really good stuff, especially for the outdoors type of handles. And I'm hoping to soon be able to stabilize my own wood. I bought some really cool looking spalted maple today here locally, and it looked really nice. I couldn't help it, so I ended up buying a block of it from a local dealer here. And I'm feeling more inspired than ever to actually take that jump, make the investment, and get some cactus juice resin and get the whole setup to be able to stabilize my own woods and be more in control of what I have here in the shop, in large quantities. So that's definitely something I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to buy big blocks of wood and cut them down myself. It's a lot more economical than buying just the handle scales. And if I can make good use of it and make multiple knives out of it, it'll definitely pay for itself pretty quickly. It's been something I've been putting off, but I've been wanting to do. So hopefully that comes out nice, and I could be offering some handle scales for whoever wants to buy some handle scales as well here in the near future. So hopefully that pans out nicely and I can start using that material, because it was really beautiful. I should have showed it in the video. I'll show it in my next video for those of you that are interested in seeing the spalted maple. And now with the knife essentially done, all I have left to do is etch it. And I was actually going to etch it before doing my handle, but then I realized my handle is synthetic anyway, so the etching in the coffee isn't going to change the color or the smell of the handle material. So I decided to do my glue up first and shape up my handle, then do my etch at the very end. On this handle, since it is a pretty thin stock, I think the micarta is a quarter thick, and with the 30 thou, I believe, is the spacer. So it ended up being too thick of a handle, so I ended up not taking off as much material as I tend to do on other handles, so that it would stay fairly thick and comfortable in the hand. Regardless of that, it ended up being pretty comfortable, so I was happy with the end result. But that's probably because my knife shape, the handle shape, is also a little bit on the wide side, so it makes up for the thinness on the actual stock. Though when I buy or cut my own stock, whenever I do my handles out of more natural woods, I prefer a 3/8. It gives a little bit more feel in the hand, and I always add the spacer. But you can make a quarter work as well. And now for the moment of truth, we're going into the ferric chloride, and I really like the look of the pattern. You can see it a little bit there. It's like blobby, which makes sense considering the thickness of the actual nails that I used. And we're going to move on to our coffee edge. Here in our coffee edge, we'll be able to have a rough idea exactly how much carbon's in there, because normally the more carbon it is, at least that's what I think from based on what I've seen, the more carbon it has, the darker it gets whenever it's in the coffee. But that also has to do with the heat treat. Normally on areas that aren't heat treated properly, it just doesn't get the same kind of darkness as it does on the areas that are actually hardened. Let me know if you know about that in the comments down below, why that happens. But I tend to have that issue myself whenever I look at a knife that I don't harden the entire handle like I didn't do on this one. A good chunk of the handle isn't hardened, and so the pattern on the back of the knife, it goes dark and then it just turns into a light gray. But overall, I'm very happy with the result. I really do love the color of this handle with the orange pins and the orange G10 that just pops out. I think it looks great. I can drop it on the floor and find it later if I can't, or forget where I dropped it. Overall, I'm very happy with the final result. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Drop me a like if you liked it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.